Hello everybody, it's Colin Ellis here. Welcome to another Culture and Coffee podcast for Monday the 6th of February 2023, and I am in Heathrow Airport in London, so I want to apologise because this podcast might not be as long as they normally are because I've got a flight to catch in 20 minutes. Well, I've got to leave here. I'm in the lounge in Terminal 3 and I've got to leave here in 30 minutes. I'm speaking at a conference in Amsterdam this week, which is nice. So yes, it's just coming light here in Heathrow. There's lots of activity down below. Just make out the London skyline. And the positive news is it isn't raining. There's your weather update. Okay, let's get straight into it. Because I've got something a little bit different. When I travel, it's often a question that I get asked is what do I do when I travel? And I think I mentioned this in the podcast at the end of last year, maybe it might be the start of this year. And I use a contraption called cracking contraption, grommet, called the Swiss Gold, which I'll talk about another time. But today I bought some drip bags. So these are essentially, it's like a serving. I should probably find out the real name for this. Like a filter coffee inside like a small bag that you then position over your cup. So I'm just going to describe what I'm looking at in front of me here. So it's like a 10 centimetre by 10 centimetre bag, and either side is some cardboard wings, I suppose you would call them. You kind of rip the top off the bag, because when it's inside the other bag, it's inside like a sealed bag, you don't want the coffee going everywhere, so you rip the top of that off and then you kind of pull the sides apart and hook the two cardboard pieces over the edge of the cup. And then so what you've got like a little almost like a little bag sitting kind of over the open part of the cup, and then you just add water. Now it's just been a pain in the backside actually by the coffee machine, just gradually adding the water because it tops up to the top of the bag. You have to let it drip through, add some more, let it drip through, add some more, let it drip through until you've got your full cup of coffee. And they're just so good. They're so good for short trips. Like, they sell them in a box of 4. Now I buy them from ACoffee. It's called ACoffee, literally ACoffee, all one word, in Fitzroy in Melbourne. Fantastic little place. The guys do awesome coffee. And this is a Yirgacheffe from Ethiopia. If you listen to the podcast regularly, you know that's one of my favourites. So, particularly if I travel, I always want to take my favourite coffee with me. It's that little kind of slice of home, I suppose, I take with me. Never take kind of photos of the family, just coffee and sometimes whiskey. So I'm just going to have a little taste of this to see what it's like here today. It sounded like a very loud gulp. Oh, that's really nice. It's really smooth. I'm not, it's got all of those kind of fruity, kind of earthy tastes that you get from Ethiopian coffee. That's really nice, actually. I don't know. Is it the same as an actual coffee made by a barista? No. But is it a great travel alternative rather than drinking coffee out of a bloody coffee machine that's automated? Yes, it's way better than that. Way better. Right, I better get on with this. So I'm going to talk today about courageous conversations, difficult conversations, and how to do them well. Because it's a challenge for most people. And it's not just a management challenge, it's leadership. It's a challenge for everybody, really, because if you're working as part of a team, at some stage you're going to disagree about something. And what you have to do is navigate that disagreement in a way that's respectful and gets you to an outcome. What you never want to do is agree to disagree. You never want to agree to disagree because fundamentally you still disagree. So that's not the goal. The goal of a difficult conversation is to come to an agreement. An agreement of the course of action that you're going to take or the way forward. And everybody has to agree with that, That's, the point of a difficult conversation is to get to the point where you're able to do that and move forward. Now, that's not to say that you're not necessarily going to be happy with it because you might have had a different opinion, but the nature of teamwork is that at some stage you have to say, okay, well, we're not going to go my way, we're going to go a different way, let's get behind that. Many issues arise in teams and it undermines team performance when people either expect their own way all the time or don't get behind a decision that's been made. Now, not every decision is the right decision. Paul C. Nutt did an analysis of decisions in the US about 10 years ago. What a great job that sounds like. And ultimately what he found is 50% of the decisions that we make are wrong. But at that stage, what you do is you come back together again, you have a difficult conversation, you agree on the way forward, and everyone gets behind it again. It's, kind of rinse and repeat. So it's something that everybody needs to be good at. And I often think courageous conversations can be avoided by just being able to give regular feedback. And so this is something that all teams could practice and do well. Now I used to use, when I was a manager, I used to use a little approach called SB for Brenda, SBI. It stands for situation, behaviour and impact. And it's really, really simple, and it works for positive and negatives, and it's just something that you can practice to get better at feedback. Because obviously, kind of positive feedback reinforces the good behaviours that you've demonstrated, and kind of makes you want to work, makes you want to do it. Actually, sorry to stop. The sun is just coming up here, and opposite this terminal, across the runway, is the hotel where I did my first ever public speech. That is so weird. I did a public speech in that hotel, I want to say in 2003. I did public speaking at school and then didn't do another one until 2003 in that hotel right over there. That is pretty crazy. Wow, there you go. Anyway, SBI. So yeah, positive, that is really weird. So positive reinforcement, because if you want good behaviours, you want to reinforce it when you see it. So, an example might be during the speech you gave to the executive team on Monday, that's the situation. You were calm in your delivery and you presented information in a way that was easy to understand. That's the behaviour, calmness, clarity. And proud of the work that you put in to deliver a speech that everyone took notice of and demonstrated your commitment to building your leadership skills. So that's the impact that it had, situation, behaviour, impact. A negative example would be something like during the meeting yesterday where Jane said she needed everyone's feedback by 5 o'clock today, situation. You audibly expressed your frustration at the timescales and suggested to Jane that you weren't able to meet these. So that's that behaviour. And then the impact, your behaviour brought embarrassment to both of us, undermined Jane and disrupted the meeting, and that's the impact. Now, obviously, following that conversation would be, okay, well, what are we going to do now to move it forward? But the SBI approach is just a simple and very, very easy way to think about how to give feedback and then make it a regular occurrence. The concept of, checking in every 6 months, checking in every 9 months, 12 months even, on performance is an absolute nonsense, because we don't give people time to actually course correct their behaviour or whatever it is that we need them to do. And so what we want is regular feedback. But I think, when it comes to courageous conversations, there's really no escaping it. You have to do them at some stage. You have to do them. Now, courage, there's kind of two elements to courage. There's personal courage, which is about being a better version of yourself. And then there's professional courage, about being better at your job. Now, for managers, but you require both. Managers, you need to have difficult conversations. You need to be able to set expectations really well, because if you don't set expectation well, it's very difficult to hold people to something. Because what they'll quite rightly do is come back and say, well, you never made it clear what needed to be done, to what level of quality, and by when. So as a manager, you need to be really good at setting expectations and then having courageous conversations. For team members, kind of likewise, it's less of a particular skill required for the job, like often having difficult conversations or holding people to performance targets. That will be on a manager's job description, won't necessarily be on kind of a team member's job description, but it is still important. You still need to be able to do that. So there's that personal courage. It's you being better at being you. So this is you kind of not overly stressing about courageous conversations, is learning to find a place for it, recognizing that as a human being, not everything can be harmonious and rosy every minute of every day. It really, really can't, and that it's an essential life skill that you need to learn. It doesn't matter whether you're phoning Qantas to moan at the fact your flight's been changed, or whether you're speaking to your partner or your children. or whether you're doing it in work. At some stage, we have to have courageous conversations about things. So that's that personal courage about being a better version of yourself. And then the professional courage is, well, how does that translate into the job such that we're able to kind of come to a landing point where an option has been chosen that we're able to take forward, and then we all get behind each other to implement what's been agreed. So yeah, there's two elements to that. So kind of what's an approach to courageous conversation? So for me, it's kind of a 7-step process, I suppose. The first is state the issue. So if you have to have a courageous conversation with someone, what's the actual issue? So the issue might have been they missed a deadline, they missed a target, right? So state the issue and then give examples. On Monday, I asked you to send me the report by Friday. It's now Friday afternoon and you still haven't sent me the report. And this is not the first time it's happened. It's the second time I've had to talk to you about this before. The third part of the process is to share your feelings, because you're human beings. We're trying to do the best that we can here. So I'm very disappointed. Parents, you're used to that word. I'm disappointed because I feel like you've let me down, and at no stage did you come and ask for help, and when I asked you if you needed any help, you said no. So I'm really disappointed. So that's the third. The fourth is clarify what's at stake. All right, so for this, in this scenario, what I might say is the information is required for us to submit a report to the executive team, who need to make some decisions about which projects we retain or which projects we kill. It's super important that we have this information in a timely manner so people can review it and then make a decision on Monday. So clarify what's at stake, number 4. Number 5 is identify your contribution. Now, my job as a manager is to make sure that you understand what's required to be done, to remove roadblocks to getting that work done, and then to kind of help you if you need any help. Now, you said you didn't need me to remove any roadblocks. You said you had the time to do it. I asked if you wanted my help. You said no. All right, so that's my contribution. Number 6 is attempt to resolve. And so in this point, what we would say is, now listen, we still have to get that report done. So what I want you to do now is I want you to clear your calendar for the rest of the afternoon, and the two of us are going to work together to get that report done. Now, of course, as a manager, you would jump in and help at this stage if you had the time to be able to do so, if that person didn't have the necessary time or the necessary knowledge to be able to do so. That's kind of part of the resolution. And then number 7 is to ask for their perspective. Okay, so I'm just interested in why we got to this point and what we're going to do to move forward. What we're not going to do is spend hours finger pointing. You're not going to be like, why has this happened? Why? If the person is a persistent offender, then there may be a different conversation required as you go down a performance pathway. But I think the key is, when you're having a courageous conversation, what you want to do, 7-step process: state the issue, give examples, share feelings, clarify what's at stake, identify your contribution, attempt to resolve, and ask for their perspective. Don't write a speech. Never goes the way you planned. Always do it as early as you possibly can. Don't wait. Don't make excuses if you have to have a courageous I'll do it later. Now's not a good time. I'm going into a meeting in 10 minutes. I'll do it after that. Oh, it's their lunchtime. I won't do it now. I won't do it on a Friday. It's never a good idea to do it on a Friday. I'll do it on a Monday. Don't do that. Do it as soon as you possibly can. You don't want to threaten someone. If you don't get this right, you're out. It's kind of an obvious thing to say. And you definitely don't want to do a courageous conversation by email, because that's not courageous. So pick up the phone, go and see someone face to face, do a video call. All right, what you need is a resolution so that you can move forward as a team and as a culture, and consequently hit the goals that you have. Short and sweet on the Culture Maker podcast today. It's coming very light now. Still freaked out about that hotel across the runway there. And there we go, the gate has just come up for my next flight. So I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world and you enjoy the podcast. Ta-ra for now.